Wakana never would have imagined that. Just because she helped Marin make a cosplay costume and worked part-time as her personal photographer. In the eyes of Marin's best friend, the two of them had become boyfriend and girlfriend. Marin had recently become obsessed with an anime and particularly loved the bunny girl character in it. So next, it was once again up to Wakana, the human wardrobe, to step up. Wakana couldn't help but wonder. Did Marin really like bunny girl outfits that much? Marin, full of confidence, replied that she thought no one in the world could hate bunny girls. Moreover, recently, many Halloween-themed bunny girl skins had been released. But no matter what new things came out, the classic bunny girl look would never be replaced. Wakana, thinking of his own passion for Hina Matsuri dolls, suddenly had an epiphany and decided to draw the 3-view diagrams that night. By now, Wakana no longer found such a workload burdensome. After all, he had grown quite familiar with it. At that moment, Marin held out a cookie in front of him. Just as Wakana reached out to take it, Marin popped it into her own mouth, teasing him. As Marin kept getting closer, Wakana had already given up resisting, preparing himself for the agony to come. But unexpectedly, Marin just ate the cookie herself. Truly the master of playing hard to get. Wakana began to study the character she was going to portray. Watching Wakana's focused profile, Marin broke into a mysterious smile. At that moment, Marin's best friend came to find her, only to discover that Marin had even forgotten their scheduled Halloween party discussion. Annoyed, she didn't want to talk to Marin. With no other choice, Marin had to start feeding her snacks to win back her favor. As the best friend was about to leave, she thought about how Marin had been spending all her time with Wakana lately, and couldn't help but fall into thought. Later, while Marin was on the train, Wakana sent her a message asking her to come over to his house the next day. This made her recently calmed down mood stir with excitement once again. However, as expected, the reason he asked Marin to come over was because he had run into trouble during the costume-making process. Marin had thought it was going to be a home date, so she'd been looking forward to it endlessly. Even though the measurements were perfectly accurate, the chest area kept slipping down. Marin suggested using transparent shoulder straps, but Wakana felt that would compromise the accuracy of the cosplay. Yet, there seemed to be no other solution for the moment. In the blink of an eye, the two found themselves at a shopping mall to buy materials. After finding a clerk, Wakana handed over the 3-view diagrams he had. When the clerk saw the bunny girl outfit depicted on them, the uncle was completely stunned. Looking into Wakana's innocent eyes, the uncle felt his own thoughts were a bit backward. He must do everything he could to help this kid, praising him, saying he had a great figure and would look perfect in it. Marin's appearance at that moment put an end to this misunderstanding. The uncle suggested adding boning and padding in certain areas to provide support and keep everything in place, so they wouldn't have to worry about it slipping down. Wakana hadn't thought of this because he was too focused on accuracy, while Marin, upon hearing this, was dumbfounded. The thought that the chest area wouldn't slip down somehow made her feel a little disappointed. At that moment, Wakana felt ashamed of the boastful words he'd said a few days earlier. The uncle comforted him, saying he shouldn't overthink it. Once a preconceived notion takes hold, one's perspective becomes narrow, and things that would normally be noticed naturally go unseen. After spending another half a day, Wakana successfully finished the new costume. However, when trying it on, Marin pointed out a problem. Because of the high slit, her underwear was visible. Wakana, who'd been tricked into seeing this, was completely flustered, afraid that one more glance would make his brain explode. This time, even Wakana had no solution, so Marin would have to figure it out herself. Later, the two went to a casino-themed photography studio, whose backdrop perfectly matched the character's style. Marin had also come up with a way to prevent any wardrobe malfunctions. Wearing skin-colored tights. That made it look like she was wearing nothing underneath. This still put quite a bit of pressure on Wakana, who was in his adolescence. During the subsequent photo shoot, Wakana forced himself to get through it. It was a good thing Marin didn't know how weak his mental defenses were at that moment. If she had, she would have probably gone even further. Suddenly, Marin mentioned that she liked fishnet stockings. And when Wakana said he didn't quite understand the appeal of fishnet stockings, she pulled out 2 pictures and shoved them right in his face. She thought she could wear them to the Halloween party. Then invited Wakana to come with her, even asking if he wanted to cosplay too. In the blink of an eye, Halloween arrived. Wakana went to the KTV with them, but was fully armed, too afraid to show his face, let alone take photos or sing with them. Marin sighed, saying it would be great if Wakana could cosplay the young master from the Bunny Girls series. He'd definitely be perfect for it. At that point, a boy named Morita asked in confusion. When Marin cosplayed, did Wakana help her with her makeup too? After all, he was a guy. As soon as those words were spoken, Wakana was instantly reminded of his past trauma. Thinking back to how his childhood friend had called him gross for being a boy who made dolls. But the next second, someone corrected Morita, saying it was perfectly normal for guys to know how to do makeup. Marin also added that Wakana had learned because he often did the makeup for Hina Matsuri dolls. This actually made Morita admire Wakana, saying that anyone who could make those dolls was basically a superhero. People who hadn't seen them in person had no idea how amazing they were. Hearing all this, Wakana's worldview was turned upside down. Why didn't they think he was gross? Wakana suddenly remembered what the uncle had said. Once a preconceived notion takes hold, one's perspective becomes narrow. While Gojo was still lost in thought, Marin's best friend, who'd been rocking out, suddenly shouted at Wakana. Right after their best friend asked if the two were in a relationship. The blondie also heard from others that they were seen at the summer festival. Marin didn't hesitate to admit it. But as for Wakana, he quickly denied that he and her were in a romantic relationship. As soon as the words left his mouth, everyone present fell silent. Then Marin grabbed him and pulled him away, running to the restroom to clean up the spilled drink. Seeing this, their best friend complained that they might as well just get together. At this point, Marin waited outside holding the headgear, complaining inwardly about Wakana. Why had he denied it so strongly just now? Did he really dislike her that much? Little did she know, Wakana lacked confidence, thinking he was totally unworthy of Marin. When he walked out of the restroom, he saw Marin being taken to a corner by two men. Recalling what her best friend had said, that when she was alone, she always had trouble with people hitting on her. He immediately rushed over to help Marin out, saying, "Why not me?" But it was all a misunderstanding. They were actually beauticians Marin knew, who just happened to run into her. Noticing that Marin hadn't been taking proper care of herself, her hair was severely damaged, and she was wearing too little clothing. They scolded her like overbearing mothers. After this incident, Wakana was too embarrassed to even look at them. This act only made Marin, who already liked him, feel even more smitten. Taking advantage of Wakana putting on the headgear, which blocked his view of both sides, Marin quietly leaned in and kissed it. Though the sound was faint, he still heard it. The slow on the uptake Wakana immediately asked. What was that sound just now? What did you do again? How could Marin possibly say it out loud? Even when Marin's face turned completely red, he wouldn't let it go. Truly single by his own doing. Suddenly, Marin sneezed. As expected, the next day she caught a cold and had a fever, so she asked for leave. In class, Wakana anxiously sent her a message to ask how she was, but waited a long time without getting a reply. Adding to that, Marin was living alone, so he grew more and more uneasy and simply asked for leave himself. Bought some ingredients, and headed straight to Marin's house to check on her. When she saw him, she suddenly looked even weaker. With no other choice, Wakana had to carry her back to her room. After cooking porridge, he fed it to her spoon by spoon. Wakana stayed by her side, taking care of her until evening. Seeing that Marin's fever had subsided, he was about to head home when, unexpectedly, their best friend also came to visit after school. Not wanting to be misunderstood again by them about having a special relationship with Marin, he quickly hid on the balcony. In the end, he was blown by the cold wind for 2.5 hours, and successfully caught a cold too. On that day, she came to the aquarium dressed a cosplay outfit to take photos. However, the moment she remembered that her favorite penguin was here, Marin instantly forgot her original purpose and ran toward their area. Suddenly, her gaze fell on a cosplayer, and that outfit rooted Marin to the spot. Marin never thought the cosplayer's accuracy would be so high. Like a character had truly stepped out of 2D into reality. When she came to her senses, she noticed that the cosplayer had been squatting on the ground. Asking around, she learned that the hook on their skirt had fallen off. The two immediately helped look for it together. And their enthusiasm surprised the cosplayer. After introductions, they learned the cosplayer's name was Amain. At this point, Marin asked if they could take photos together later. Amain was willing at first, but thought that keeping the skirt like this would ruin the cosplay's image. At the critical moment, reliable Wakana took out a sewing kit he'd brought with him. But Wakana couldn't enter the women's changing room. The manual stated that males were prohibited from entering. It's fine even in the men's changing room, because I'm male. After a while, they realized Amain was a crossdresser. While fixing the clothes, Wakana was curious about how Amain managed to look so convincingly female. Suddenly noticing a bottle of glue in Amain's bag, Wakana started overthinking.
どうかしました?
いえ、すぐ縫い終わりますので。集中。
Meanwhile, Marin ran into the girl who'd taken photos of her before. Now, Marin was still cosplaying the same character, but in a cafe-limited outfit. The girl, who'd been impressed by their last encounter. That made girl wonder if Marin had marked. Since it's a cosplay event. I'm wearing safety pants. Good preparation, impressive. In the blink of an eye, she and Wakana reunited. After Amain thanked them, Wakana finally mustered the courage to ask about the glue's purpose. Amain took out the glue, applied it to his face, and used a wig to hide his facial contours, making his face look smaller. That's why he looked so much like a girl. Then he showed them photos from his social media. And his skills were truly unmatched. Suddenly, Wakana noticed something odd. Why did the cosplayed character have such big épée? Just as Marin thought they must be photoshopped. Amain said, épée can be equipped too. Equipped? Go take a look. Épée.